everyone. Welcome along into the Sporty Show. A pleasure to have you with us as always. I am Sara, joined once again by the one and only tallest man in Madrid, Alex Ashmore.
How are you doing, Sara?
Well, we're good today. Once again, no ClintonCod out on his secret little mission he's on.
It is still surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, it's still nice and quiet around the office.
It's a calm day. It's nice. We're catching up on all our work. We're getting things done. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. No, Clinton will be back tomorrow.
Yes.
He will be back. He might even join today. We'll see. We'll see. You never know with him. But he is up to some very, very exciting stuff that we can hopefully share with you guys tomorrow, finally. But I promise you, you're not going to want to miss this one. All right, yesterday we had a lot of football, and again, we do today. Obviously, the big game, Manchester United, Arsenal in action this evening. A big, big step for Emirates if he gets the win here. Yeah,
I think this is the litmus test for, how he's going to be judged as a Manchester United manager come the end of the season. It's very early days into his tenure. He's been here 3 weeks, and I don't think Man United fans would be too upset if they lost tonight. But I think it's more the way they play. If they get played off the park, it will be a little bit worrying. But I think if they put up a good fight and they show the intent that, Amarim's here and he's here to change the squad and the culture around the club, I think they could take a loss. Obviously a result is always better. But I think if they, do the club proud and do the fans proud, I think that will be enough for Ruben Amorim tonight, because it's only his 4th game in charge. They're not expecting miracles. They shouldn't be expecting miracles anyway.
I think they might be, though. I think they might be, especially against a club like Arsenal. Arsenal, as we know, are on a bit of a high, of course, after beating West Ham over the weekend. That big win against Sporting. They went through that blip where we saw them, they lost to Inter, they drew Chelsea, they lost to Newcastle. That was the 3rd one, but they seem to be kind of turning that corner. Mikel Arteta has these gentlemen in line. Martin Odegaard is back, a massive, massive player to have in your midfield if you're Arsenal. And this game is also at home, Alex, and we know what that Emirates Stadium means to this Arsenal team.
Yeah, I think also when you look at you mentioned Odegaard, it takes some pressure off the other players. Saka, he was the focal point of that attack when Odegaard wasn't there. And at times you could tell that there was a little bit too much onus on him to produce everything. It was pass the ball to Saka and hopefully he creates something. But, having Odegaard in there, the quality he has on the ball, the calmness, the composure to, spot a pass, to create a play is just brilliant. And, slowly but surely they're getting back to a full squad a full bill of health. Mikel Merino and Gabriel doubts, which is unfortunate for Arsenal. If Gabriel does start tonight, it will be a good sign for Arteta that he's not going to lose Gabriel for long term. Mikel Merino having injury problems on and off throughout this season, really. So there's been some good news and some bad news for Arsenal on the injury front, and I think to see these players coming back, Odegaard especially, it's nothing but positive. And that front three, even Trossard's starting to pick up a little bit of form now.
No kidding. When you look at this predicted lineup we've come up with here, you see Trossard, Havertz, and Saka. Do you like that starting front three? We know there's a little bit of controversy when it comes to Leandro Trossard. Should he start? Is he better coming off the bench?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, it's night and day, to be honest, the difference between him off the bench and him starting. But I do think he has an ability to create chances and threaten defences. He's not a world-class player, but he's a good quality player. And I think when you look at how he has performed when he's been on song, he's an exciting player to watch. So, to have that triple threat, Havertz as well, perhaps not scoring the goals that Arsenal would have wanted him to, but he's still getting involved. He played well against West Ham, and I think a good squad there for Arsenal. Whether Partey starts, that'd be interesting to see.
But what about Martinelli?
Yeah, Martinelli, another one, sort of on and off. Again, put on a show against West Ham and has played well for small parts of the season, but he's not had that consistent run of form. And I think Mikel Arteta would like to see glimpses of what we had in that first season, or the first 18 months he was at the club. An exciting player, really youthful, really quick, really dangerous for defences. And I think there is definitely still a good player in there. He just needs to find that form again. One player I would like to see a little bit more from is Declan Rice. I think, I know what he can offer going forward. Perhaps he's, had to drop back a little bit more, but I think he definitely has that threat going forward and would like to see him involved a little bit more in attacks.
Yeah. Do you expect Gabriel to be starting? We know he picked up a bit of a knock. And if he's not starting, who would you put there beside Saliba?
You could go for... there's a few options. Maybe Kivior, if you wanted to. It's a difficult one. I think you look at that lineup. Timber could maybe slot in, but it's a very risky. Calafiori maybe as a makeshift centre back. But I'm hoping, Arsenal will be hoping that Gabriel's fit. He's a doubt, but
for this one, this is not the one you want to.
Yeah, hopefully he's back fit for Arsenal's sake.
Yeah. Guys, for those of you watching, please drop your score predictions on our YouTube chat and we'll get to them. Markinde says Arsenal's going to win 3-1. Street Fighter's gone for the 5-0. They said that the other day, and they're sticking to it. So lots of emphasis here for an Arsenal win, it seems like, by you guys, our viewers. Before we jump into a little Manchester United talk, I got ahead of myself at the start of the show because this is such an exciting match. This is what's coming up on Sporty TV. Once again, Alex and I are going to be joining you guys for all the action in the DFB Pokal this evening. Right after the show today, we have Wolfsburg and Hoffenheim and FC Köln versus Hertha Berlin. Then Alex and I will join in at halftime, give you a little breakdown, and then following that match, we'll be back in here giving you a post-match review and a pre-match for Leipzig and Frankfurt, which will be on 8:45 WAT, 7:45 GMT. So a full evening of football. We'll also have one eye over here on Manchester United, Arsenal, and maybe Real Madrid and Athletic Bilbao. Tomorrow we have River Plate and San Lorenzo, as well as the live draw of the FIFA Club World Cup, where we will have our regular Sporty Show, and the three of us, yes, the three, KlintonCod will be back. We'll be joining you guys to do a recap of the groups and what we expect of that tournament. We also have Anderlecht versus Westerlo. Friday, we have Ronaldo taking on Al Ittihad. Brisbane Roar versus Melbourne. In the Serie A, it's the big one. Atalanta and Adamola Lookman taking on Milan. After Milan just absolutely demolished Sassuolo, this should be interesting. International Women's Friendly on Friday, Australia versus Chinese Taipei. Leeds and Derby County in the EFL Championship, and Crystal Palace taking on a dreadful Man City in the Premier League this weekend on Sporty TV. In the Bundesliga, it's Borussia Dortmund versus Borussia Mönchengladbach, and we have Jeon Buck versus Seoul in the K-League, Antwerp versus Royal Charleroi, Central Coast versus Sydney, and West Brom versus Sheffield. In La Liga, it's Osasuna versus Alaves. So a lot of football coming up this week. All right, let's jump right back into Manchester United and Arsenal. United, how do you expect them to line up? If you're Ruben Amorim, do you keep that front three and have Marcus Rashford playing as a 9?
I think so. I like, Clinton said this before, I like Rashford playing as a more central figure in the attack. I think, his danger does come from when he's playing in that front three, and I think I prefer him more centrally. And we saw him in these first 3 games. He's had opportunities to carve a position, and I think Amorim's trusting him, so I can see them going with that again. And the midfield, he seems to be favouring Casemiro and Ugarte, and Amad Diallo and Dalot seeing their wing-back positions. And then, Maguire, De Ligt and Mazwari, I think it's a solid side. You look at the capabilities of each, the defence, the midfield and the attack. There's threats for Arsenal there, and I think, should Rashford be on song, he can prove to be a problem for Arsenal.
Garnacho.
Yeah, he's a...
I think you'd want to play Garnacho against an Arsenal.
You would. To be honest, I really like Garnacho. I think what he has as a player, he's a brilliant player. But given perhaps the faith that he's showing in Rashford, I would stick with Rashford for the moment. And to have Garnacho, a player like Garnacho on the bench is, it's a brilliant option to have to come on. I'm
not even saying take Rashford off. I'm saying take Højlund off.
Yeah.
Push Rashford and then give Garnacho his spot on the flank. Because to me, that seems more dangerous. And the two of them have much more pace than Højlund. When you're going up potentially the likes of Saliba and Gabriel, who we know is maybe the second best duo of defenders in the Premier League right now. You need pace. I think if I were Emery, I would favour Garnacho right now because he's also been on fire.
I think he's also showing a little bit of faith in Rasmus Højlund, who scored 2 against Bodo Glimt. So, you know, he likes to give these players opportunities, and you know, he's testing everyone out. He's still finding his best 11. You know, 3 games, 2 wins and a draw. It's a good start, but they've not had a proper test yet. So I think he's still working out what works best for United as a team. And you know, I like this 11, but you know, hopefully he can find a spot for Garnacho in there somewhere.
I think we'll see him whether he starts or comes off the bench. I think we will see a Garnacho cameo at some point. In the chat here, we have Ami Shidai saying Manchester United are going to win 6-0. Morgan Day says, I think Arsenal's winning this either way. We have Thekla saying Arsenal's winning 2-1. Gideon saying Manchester United winning 2-1. So we kind of have scores all over the board here. Alex, I'm sure I've asked you this yesterday, but we talked so much football that I can't remember what your prediction was for this one. Was it a draw?
It was. I think I went 2-2. I'm going to stick with 2-2.
You're going to stay with 2-2. Rashford getting on the board again for United?
Yes. Rashford and Bruno Fernandes.
Oh.
For Arsenal, I'm going to go Bukayo Saka and Kai Havertz.
Ooh, Kai Havertz. I love that. I hope Saka gets on the board. I absolutely love watching him play. I see Leandro Trossard scoring in this one, I'll tell you that much. And I think Arsenal are going to win. I think it's going to be 3-1 as well. If anyone's going to score for United, yeah, maybe Rashford. He's on a bit of a bounce right now. And if Garnacho's not starting, that would favour Rashford. But I do see this going Arsenal's way at the Emirates because of the 3 in the back that we saw for United. If there is a problem with United in terms of the players, I know Clinton last week said, if you look at these players, they have potential. They are good players. If you can string them together, we don't need, you know, a big January transfer window, but the defense is not promising whatsoever. With the predicted lineup we just pulled up, if we can pull it up again, we have Diego Dallo, Harry Maguire. No, we had Harry Maguire, De Ligt, and
Mazraoui.
Yeah. That's not convincing me whatsoever with, you know, the likes of Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, Leandro Trossard.
I think that there's solidity in that defence. I still have faith in Matthijs De Ligt. I think he's, you know, there is a good player in there somewhere. I think he's not had the consistency over the last couple of years at Bayern and Manchester United. And, you know, Mazraoui, I've been really impressed with him since he joined United in the summer. I think he's been one of the revelations of this summer. And I think Maguire, yeah, he's solid. He's not a world beater in terms of defenders. I do think I would prefer Lisandro Martinez as a starter week in, week out. But I do still think Harry Maguire can offer a decent depiction of what a United defence should be like. And you know, he's led this team before, so he's got the experience.
Absolutely. Well, we will see. Before we jump to some other exciting Prem matches, a little bit of controversy going on with Mazraoui, actually, and Manchester United. He declined wearing the rainbow jacket, which in the end, Manchester United just decided that none of the players would wear that jacket to not single him out. We also saw some issues going on with Mark Gay over the weekend. Crystal Palace captain writing on his rainbow captain armband, and just last week, Sam Morsey of Ipswich Town. Alex, you said something to me yesterday, and it stuck with me, especially regarding the captains, maybe not so much Mazraoui, but you said if these are captains of these teams and they're not willing to show support for everyone, then should they be your captain?
Yeah, I think it's, you look at the wide proportion of people that watch football these days, it's not just blokes, it's, you know, men, women, people from all walks of life. So I feel like if your captain isn't prepared to represent everyone that supports the club, everyone that works for the club, who knows, there may be a player in there that's gay that hasn't come out. If he's not prepared to represent them, I feel like he doesn't deserve to. And looking at this situation, it's, well, started off with Sam Morsey at Ipswich, who didn't want to wear the armband but was happy wearing betting sponsors for Middlesbrough. So there's a bit of a hypocrisy in terms of what he doesn't want to wear and what he wants to wear. Mazraoui saying he won't do it, so the whole United squad won't do it. It's a difficult one. I think I stick with that statement in terms of if the captain's not prepared to wear it, he shouldn't be the captain.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, let's move along to Manchester City and Nottingham Forest, because this one is also very tasty. Man City now 7 without a win, as we know. I saw earlier on social media that Pep is becoming unreachable, that he's not leaving the office. He is trying to find a way to turn this around. He's struggling here. And my question to you, Alex, is at what point, because, you know, at first we said, this is a blip. Now we're saying this is a crisis. What point does it become Pep needs to leave, or Pep decides to leave because maybe he feels he can't give this club anything anymore? How many games? How many months?
I really can't see him leaving. I think they will turn it around. You know, I really can't see this. I really can't see the fact that City, you know, they've not won in 7. I really can't see that carrying on. They've got to win at some point. The quality that they have, they can't keep performing as badly as they have been for so long. So, yeah, I think it's a difficult one. I think he'll still be here next season as a City manager.
I mean, he's contracted to. Right before this entire Man City crumble happened, Pep signed his contract until 2026 with option to extend until 27. But I'm with you. I think if Pep leaves, it will be Pep leaving. It will be a decision he makes. And I think it will be very much like, I can no longer give this club anything. I've done as much as I could. Sometimes we do see it, the time just runs out for a manager, for a player. But I can't see City saying, you got to go.
Yeah, I think they'd be silly to. You know, you look at the things he's achieved at this club. No other manager will get even close to what he's achieved at Manchester City for a long time. So I think it would be, you know, on the one hand, silly for them to sack him, and you know, I can't see anyone else coming in and doing a better job. It would take as long for them to reach that level again. It's 7 games. You know, he's won countless trophies at City. He's brought them their first Champions League. They've won 4 titles in a row. Surely 7 games doesn't deserve to be a sackable offence, not winning in 7.
Not to mention that we are a month out or less now than the transfer window in January, and until that opens, where I think City will be making a lot of business.
Yeah, I can see them bringing someone in January. I think they're starting to see, and every club's starting to see, the effect of this long calendar and how clubs, they need to strengthen. And, you know, people were laughing at Chelsea at the beginning of the season for having a 40-man squad, but, you know, it's paid off for them to this point. You know, they're able to call on players, and they're able to spread the responsibility throughout the squad in different competitions. So, yeah, I think if City want to see themselves up at the top end of the table at the end of the season, they have to do some business in January.
Absolutely. Now they're taking on Forest, who started off the season fantastically. No one saw that coming. 32-year-old Chris Wood, 9 goals in the Premier League. Also kind of flying under the radar with the likes of an Erling Haaland or maybe a Mo Salah, but absolutely brilliant from him. And Forest, yeah, kind of hitting that point, I think, where they're the wear and tear of, like you said, this long calendar year is picking up on them. You know, they're not the biggest team. They aren't able to manage maybe the load as well, but still doing a great job. This is not going to be an easy game for Man City, especially in the state that City are in. And we know the Etihad doesn't really mean that much right now. It's a matter of the players, it's a matter of the team. There's something going on deeper, so it's not like playing at home is going to necessarily give them that boost. What do you expect Forest to do against this City side right now? Because if they're going to pounce, now's the time. Yeah,
I think the big thing with this Forest side, if they are to prove themselves to be, you know, a top 10 club, they have to start performing against the top clubs. And, you know, you've seen their last 10 games. They drew with Brighton, they drew with Chelsea, they lost to Arsenal. Sorry, they lost to Newcastle, they drew with Arsenal. Or they lost to Arsenal, sorry. And, you know, these are games that if you want to be up there with the best, you have to be getting results. And, you know, yes, they beat Liverpool, but that was quite a long time ago now. So, you know, I think this is a good time for Forest to play City in a way. Could be a bad time because, you know, City will... Potentially, this will be the game that City come out and win 7 or 8-0. But, you know, Forest will know that if they want to push for that top four, it's not out of the question. If they keep performing, they're going to have to start picking up results against the top sides.
Do you expect Kyle Walker to be starting in this game?
No. I think, weirdly, I can see Pep. Well, weirdly is probably the wrong way of saying it, but I can see Pep making some rotations and potentially putting Rico Lewis at that right-back position. Yeah, I think he'll want to freshen things up. Maybe, potentially, not to send a message, but perhaps say that, your position as a starter isn't safe. No matter how well we've done over the last 4 years, you still need to perform week in, week out. So, yeah, I think I can see some changes for City and some changes for Forest as well, because obviously they've got the weekend. So, there's a lot of games coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you see City? Is this the game where City will finally get a result? And when I mean a result, a win, because we're not counting draws anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 City.
City's going to win.
Yeah, finally.
Finally. I think I'm going to back you on that one. I think at some point this has to come to an end. And it has been quite a long time across all competitions. And I do still have faith in Pep. We know what he's capable of. If you look at the City side, they are still good players. Whether they're playing good football, I cannot speak on that. But we know the talent is there, and I think it will turn around for them. We have to remember that Man City are playing Manchester United this weekend in the Manchester Derby. So Pep will also definitely have one eye on that match, because one thing you don't want to do is be in a rut and then lose to your City rivals. That will be extremely difficult for the entire team. So, yeah, going to be a tough couple matches here. Sorry, I said, guys, I meant Nottingham Forest is playing Manchester United over the weekend. Pardon me, but that's also explaining why Nottingham Forest are obviously going to make a lot of rotations potentially for this one. Really tough week for Forest, if I'm honest. And then they play Aston Villa next weekend as well,
who also aren't in the best run of form themselves.
Shall we talk about it,
Well,
Unai?
I mean, they're playing Brentford tonight. An opportunity at Villa Park to get a result. They're, 8-9 games now without a win. They lost to Chelsea quite convincingly at the weekend. They're in 12th. Yes, they're not far off the top four, but I think when you see the Villa last season and compare it to this season, it's night and day, the difference. Perhaps they are beginning to see the effects of Champions League football and Premier League football, like
Newcastle of last year.
Yeah, and we said they brought in players, they strengthened the squad, but sometimes having both, they've done well in the Champions League. They've picked up some good results. They obviously beat Bayern Munich, but I think perhaps starting to see the pressure and the responsibility that it takes to juggle both doing well in the Premier League and the Champions League.
Absolutely. Brentford are 8th right now, ahead of 11th place Aston Villa. And I know it's at Villa Park, but this is going to be a very difficult match for both sides because they are so close to one another in the league. 8 matches without a win for Unai Emery, as we said. Again, same question. When is the moment where Aston Villa or Unai Emery will make that decision saying, this isn't working anymore?
I don't think it's panic stations yet. They're 4 points off the top four. A win tonight, and they could jump up as high as 6th. So it's definitely not the time to make rash decisions. And I think the board will back Unai Emery. Perhaps maybe give him some money to spend in January to bring in some squad depth. And looking at the other side of the coin, Brentford as well. Perhaps towards the beginning of the season, we were one of those clubs where we thought they could be struggling against a relegation fight, and they're 8th. They're 4 points, 3 points off the top four. So it'll be a tough game for Villa. But at Villa Park, after such a long string of games without performing well, my money's on Villa.
John Duran?
Maybe. And hopefully Ollie Watkins, because that chance he had against Chelsea at the weekend, he should have scored.
That'll haunt him. But if he bounces back, fuel for the fire. Could be. Aston Villa are going to be playing Southampton over the weekend, so a little bit of pressure potentially off them if they get the win this midweek against Brentford. Man City is playing Crystal Palace this weekend. Forest is playing United, and it's next weekend that we have the derby, which I'm sure Clinton will be very excited about. Liverpool in action as well. Newcastle. This one also, you know what? I say this one also interesting. Yes, we have two big clubs here, but I think right now I'm in a phase where I don't think anyone can beat Liverpool in the Prem. In the Prem.
Especially, Newcastle, they've been quite inconsistent this season. I think when you look at, they lost to West Ham and, they've picked up results, beat Arsenal, some good results, but then also, night and day in terms of the performances week in, week out. So, yes, it's at St James's Park. The crowd will be a help for Newcastle, but Liverpool have dealt with tougher crowds this season. So I think I can only see a Liverpool win in this one, to be honest.
I have nothing to say because I also agree. They are just too good right now. They are too on form. Everything is working for slot ball. So it doesn't matter if it's in Newcastle. They're unstoppable. Sandro Tonali back doesn't faze me. Nope, Liverpool win. Thekla's written, can you guys please talk about Chelsea? Yes, we can, because I'm sure Alex would also like to speak about Chelsea. They are taking on last place in the Premier League, Southampton. Only 5 points for Southampton across 13 matches, 2 wins. Grim. Not even 2 wins.
Yeah, it's not been good for Southampton. I've said this before. Coming up, I thought perhaps they would do better. They played some nice football in the Championship. Russell Martin's created a culture and identity at the club that's, quite exciting to watch when they do play well. But, I've said this before, again, I'm a broken record. If you don't have the good players, the quality players to play that sort of football, you can't cut it in the Premier League. And they're seeing that 5 points from 13 games is relegation material. And Chelsea on form, really, third in the Premier League, level on points with Arsenal. A win tonight, and if Arsenal don't win and Chelsea get a result against Southampton, they could see themselves second. If you'd have said to me in August Chelsea would be second by Christmas, You
would say it's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, I'd say this is some sort of dreamland we're living in. I'm still surprised, but these games are always tough. Premier League games can be banana skins. Southampton will know that they have to get a win to keep themselves in that conversation of staying up, and they'll be fighting hard. It'll be at St Mary's, so the home crowd behind them. I'm gonna go with a Chelsea win though, because
you're a Chelsea fan.
I'm a little bit biased.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
I'm gonna go 3-1 Chelsea.
What's very interesting is that Fulham play Brighton tomorrow. Now, if Arsenal don't get a result today, and if Chelsea don't get a result today, but Brighton pulls off a win tomorrow, this entire Premier League table will switch up, because that means Brighton will move into second place. The Seagulls? No one could have predicted this. It is so tight right now. Arsenal, 25 points. Chelsea, 25. Brighton, 23. City, 23. Forest, 22. I mean, it's just... Guys, what we see today in the Premier League versus tomorrow is going to be completely different. And yeah, like you said, Alex, Chelsea could be in second place by the end of the evening. No one would have expected it, but I do expect them to get a win. I think they're also going to have a bit of a rotated lineup here because they're playing Spurs over the weekend, and Southampton, not performing well. It's simple as I see a confident Chelsea. I see like a 3-0.
Yeah, I think three goals. Share the love around. Maybe give some starts to the likes of Mudryk and Kunku, and 3-1 I'm going to go for.
I don't even think they need to play Cole Palmer, but they will. All right, well, let's ask someone very, very special to the show what they think about Chelsea and Southampton. Gary Smith. Gary Al Smith. I even screwed up your name.
Hi.
How did I screw up your name, Gary? It's because you joined halfway through. We've been waiting for you.
I know, right?
Gary, talk to us. Chelsea's playing Southampton. We'll jump back to Arsenal and United just for you. But is this a standard Chelsea win?
We've spoken about Arsenal United for the last 2 days. In truth, we have not spoken much about Chelsea, so I'm sure they'll be. Yeah. They are going down to the coast. You remember one of the times when they went to Southampton and beat them by 6-0? Remember that?
Alex does, I'm sure.
It's looking like this is the sort of team that can repeat that. This Chelsea team has it in them to give them a 6-0. But Southampton are stubborn enough, because I think, Alex, it was you who was saying that this Southampton team, it was you, Sarah, who was talking about how Southampton have made it difficult for the likes of City and Liverpool already this season, right? Yes, so they won't be that easy. But I've come to gradually respect this Chelsea side as ruthless if they get it right. So, yeah, I think it will be a very good game, very watchable. You know, if you see it on the wall and you see Chelsea versus Southampton, you might feel like a top 14 versus a whatnot team. But I think it will be a very watchable game, and I can't wait for it. My prediction, before you even ask, because I know you are going to ask, is that Chelsea are going to win quite comfortably, maybe a 3-1. Yeah.
A 3-1. You think Southampton score on Chelsea?
Well, yeah, I think Southampton are going to score one just for.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Gary, we were also talking about just how tight the Premier League table is right now in regards to, okay, Arsenal play Man U tonight, Chelsea play Southampton, and then if they both drop points, Brighton could potentially slot into second place if they beat Fulham tomorrow. It's incredible right now. Now is the time. Now is the time that the football is at such a high intensity rate because every match matters and every match will change up the table right now.
I mean, it's one of the periods and one of the times in a season that if you watch it, the Premier League uses this period every year to stake its claim as the most exciting league in the world. Every year they do that because things are so unpredictable, you know, because of injuries, injuries and all these other disruptions happen in other leagues, but the unpredictability is not to the level that we see with the Premier League, so that you can be a top 4 side, you can go to a Southampton, and tomorrow by this time, I'm going to be having my tails between my legs because Southampton would have, you know, paradoxically played a 2-2 draw or beating Chelsea by 3 goals.
Don't say that, Gary. Don't say that.
Actually, Street Fighter wrote in the chat here that it's going to be 2-2 for Chelsea and Southampton.
I hope
you're predicting.
You know, so I'm thinking that this is the period that we are going to see a lot of that. And come January, we are going to see some pretty interesting surprises, particularly in the top 10, because that top 4 prediction that we all did is going to be tested very sorely in the next 3 weeks. I guarantee you.
Wait, what do you mean? You guys all took... Wait, Alex and I took Arsenal, which is much better than Manchester City right now. And I have Chelsea in the top 4. I have Liverpool winning the Champions League and Barcelona winning La Liga. Right now, I'm not hating it. I don't hate it. I didn't pick City for nothing.
Yeah.
They're going to come back and win it all. They're going to come back and win it all.
Let me speak like Clinton. We need to find out which god you want to speak to do your prediction.
It's my secret. It's my secret.
It's your secret, of course.
What does he always say? Oh, I'm hearing something.
I'm hearing something. It's really our producer, Ben, just giving him tips in his ear.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Let's move along to La Liga because Real Madrid are in action tonight against Athletic Bilbao. And this is very exciting because we have second place in La Liga versus fourth place. Also because Barcelona happened to beat Mallorca 5-1 yesterday, which means the title race is on. Real Madrid are going to want to catch Barca. Alex, they do still have a game in hand, as we know. So regardless of what happens, we have to take that into consideration. Before we talk about the Bilbao and Real match, let's talk a little bit about Barcelona. Back to their winning ways, back to high-scoring matches. The first half was very tight between Mallorca and Barcelona. Credit to Mallorca and, of course, Muriqi. Shout out Guillem, of course, in the group chat, going after everyone already. I can see it. But, you know, we saw chances from Barcelona where they could have gone up by 2, by 3, and they weren't able to finish. And then halftime comes around, and they were able to capitalize on their chances.
Yeah, I think it was a convincing win. Mallorca played well. They put up a fight, but you know, as soon as the floodgates opened, Barcelona picked them off really, and I think it was a good display of how they can be resilient, especially after 3 games without a win. Hansi Flick would have been telling them that this is what title-winning sides are made of. This is where you have to turn things around. Mallorca are a good side. They've been pushing for the top 4 spot recently, and I think when you look at how well Barcelona managed to deal with Mallorca's threats, I think that is good signs for Hansi Flick and Barcelona.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw what Hansi Flick said after the match last night, but more or less in a nicer fashion. He said, "I'm really happy. November is over, and now we're back to our winning ways in December." Gary, we saw Rafinha once again, 2 for him, and he also came out and said after kissing the Barca badge that he's in the best form of his life and he is willing to do anything for this club and he wants to keep going. How incredible has his kind of come up been since leaving Leeds?
First of all, before I answer your direct question, you see what he said. It's just the translation of that is that I'm willing to play so well that my contract renewal will be top for Barcelona. That's
hey, I'm happy for that.
That's the actual renew. That's what he actually means. I'm going to do everything for this club, kiss the badge, and then the fans are going to turn against the club and say, "Give him, he deserves it, he deserves it." That's what it actually means. But yesterday it was you saying that he's the best Brazilian player in the world right now, and all that.
I don't even think there's a question.
I think he's, in terms of form this season, he's got to be.
Yeah. Who?
Yeah, he's got to be.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were gonna say. I'm gonna say I don't think there is anyone.
Not Gabriel.
No.
Stop.
He's been playing well.
It's him. It's Rafinha. It's Rafinha. So I'm not sure what is responsible for that. Maybe right team, right environment. He does not have. I don't know, Alex. To what extent, and Sarah, does Lewandowski being by his side make him a better player? I don't know. Do you think there's a? Yeah.
I think so because Lewandowski is proving, his ability as just being that all-around striker, and Rafinha has not only been scoring but been able to play off him and to provide to him. He has, I think, 8 assists in La Liga and how many goals now? 11 just in the league. It's incredible. If it wasn't Lewandowski being the one to tap it in, you don't even know if he would be getting those numbers, right? I think they've been brilliant alongside Lamine Yamal on that right side.
Yeah. So I was saying, right environment, definitely the right players around him, and a coach who is willing to play to his strengths and allow him to thrive have all contributed to what is, because you look at the players behind him, they understand him enough to play the ball to his strengths. If he needs to run onto the ball, they put it there. If he needs to play a 1-2 and go behind or beside a player to be able to, make a run and do and deliver and score, he has players who are able to do that. Whether it's Yamal, whether it's all these young kids, I like to call them Barca's under 21 brigade. They're all willing and able and have the capacity and quality to do that for him. So, and it's the sort of player that he might think that at some point, maybe he's so good that, he can leave Barcelona and go to some other team and replicate it. But he won't, because he won't have the same exact kind of conditions as he has as Barcelona this season. So a big shout to him. He's doing very well.
Did you guys see the pass from Lamine Yamal last night? His third try-valid pass.
Another one.
The kid is just.
How many passes has he had? Not this year. Not even this year. This season.
This season he's had assists, or that trivela, like that pass. He's done it 3 times.
No, not the assists, but the kind of assists for club
and
country.
3 times this season.
For Spain?
3 times this season. Oh, I don't know about Spain. I'm just talking Barcelona this season. It's happened 3 times already. It's incredible. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. Good news for Barcelona. Let's move on then to their arch rivals, Real Madrid, because, as we said, Real Madrid are going to want to catch them. Mbappe back to his Mbappe way, guys. Will we see Gary? Will we see Mbappe? Okay, talk to me. What do you expect of Mbappe tonight against Bilbao? This is not an easy side.
He's on his way back, but he's not back. We can see the shoots coming out of the ground, but he's not a fully formed Mbappe tree at Real Madrid yet. It's gradual. And like I said yesterday, I think that we have to give him until Jan, middle of Jan, to really see what the real Mbappe, because by that time, he would have had a couple games under his belt if he's not interrupted by Vinicius's coming. Yesterday, we discussed this at length that Don Carlo may have to start thinking about putting Vinicius in a 10 position to allow Kylian, the new Kylian 2.0, to start thriving the way the way he's supposed to and the way he wants to thrive as well. But I'm happy for him because for the sake of football, for the sake of La Liga, La Liga needs its biggest stars to be shining. La Liga needs more than Vinicius to be shining at Real Madrid so that they can sell matches like Clásico, and stuff like that. Like the league needs it. Because at the moment, how many sellable stars based on performances does La Liga have? Yamal,
Julian
Vinicius,
Alvarez, Nico Williams,
Julian Alvarez,
Vinicius, Mbappe.
Soloff.
Yeah.
You need a few more. And you need Kylian to be truly up there so that when we put a Barcelona versus Real Madrid in front of you, like the audiences are coming, that sort of stuff. So, of course, Barca fans will want Kylian to be rubbish for obvious reasons all the time. But for the sake of the league, we need him to be in good form as well to make the race at the top competitive up to the end, for numbers and viewership and all those things. So I'm happy to see what he has to offer. And once again, I'm looking forward to how he's going to perform in the next game. Yeah, in this coming game.
You think he's going to score tonight, Gary?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah?
Penalty, though.
Horrible. Alex, talk to me a little bit about this one. Not an easy side in La Liga. Athletic Bilbao didn't have the best start to the season, but they've turned it around. They're now sitting in fourth, and it's going to be difficult at San Mamés as well.
Yeah, I think it will be difficult, but Real Madrid have the tools to deal with whatever Athletic Club will throw their way. The San Mamés crowd will have it'll give that extra boost to the home side, and I think it will be a tough game, but I think Real Madrid have what it takes to get the win. They've been playing well. They're on a nice little bit of form. They'll obviously be motivated to reduce that gap to Barcelona, and they've still got that game in hand, obviously. So, yeah, I think I can see a Real Madrid win tonight, but it will be a hard-fought win. So I'm going to go 2-0.
2-0. Okay, so no goal for Bilbao whatsoever. Really quickly, guys, Markinde said Mbappe is the best human being playing football right now. Do you guys agree with that?
On form, no.
No.
Who? Okay, perfect. Who would you guys say?
It's a tough one. In terms of best player in the world at the moment on form, that is really tough. Gary, you're going to have to go first. I'm going to have to think about this one.
I think if it was October, we'd say Lamine Yamal. It's Rafinha. It's Rafinha.
You mean the best player in the world right now?
Yeah, I mean, but besides Messi, because, he's still living, he's still breathing.
Wow. Because the Premier League does not have it does not have a standout player at the moment.
Chris Wood?
Come on, Alex.
Street Fighter saying Salah.
Mohamed Salah, yes.
Salah's a good suggestion.
Yeah?
I'm going to go Salah.
Yeah, I'm
Salah
going with
over
Salah.
Rafinha.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
But again, the only reason, and I have to be very critical of myself here, the only reason I'm saying Salah is because of the Premier League factor. If the roles were reversed and Rafinha were in the Premier League, I'll be saying Rafinha.
Okay, so it's just Premier League bias then. Okay. Where is Barca in the Champions League versus... Okay, actually, it's Liverpool. They're both,
Exactly.
Yeah. That's okay. I think Barca and Liverpool are the two best teams in the world right now, if I'm being honest. I think when I think of every club, I think the only club that would really give Barca like a run for their money is Liverpool, but I also think Barca could do the same to Liverpool.
I think Liverpool would beat Barcelona.
Maybe, but I think like after the fact that they went over the Bayern bump and then Real Madrid, it gave, I think, the team a lot of confidence. Yeah, they have these losses to these La Liga teams for sure, but I think those are like the two that are standing out. I mean, let's see, Gary. Let's see Arsenal, because I want to believe in you guys, but it's a bit tricky. Alex, you said 2-0. Gary, what? Look at the...
It's a superpower.
The eyebrow is going up, so I'm skeptical.
It's best we not say. No juju on Arsenal. Gary, Real Madrid, Athletic Bilbao, scoreline prediction, please.
Going Real Madrid 2-1. I think it's going to be narrow. So, like Athletic are quite good. Like when they turn on their style, they can be pretty difficult to break down, and it's not going to be a walk in the park for Real Madrid at all. I mean, they've shown great character in their most recent game against, was it Rayo Vallecano, right? I think they played Rayo. The last game was against Rayo,
It was, yes, at
and
Vallecas.
they came from behind to win 2-1. Because it was Ohan Sunset who scored two in that second half, and it was their third straight victory as well, and it's extended the unbeaten run to 9 matches in all competitions. So this is the Athletic that they are going to play, and they have not lost a competitive game since they were beaten 2-1 by Girona in October. So Real Madrid will think that this is the sort of thing they are going to do. And look, they are being coached by Ernesto Valverde. I mean, we don't need any motivation for that, right? Do we? We don't need any motivation for that. So I think Real Madrid will win, but it will be a narrow 2-1 win, and it will be one of the best games tonight to watch anywhere in the world, I think.
Well, don't pretend you're watching that, Gary. We all know where your eyes are going to be.
No, 2 screens.
Two screens when your team is playing is tough. Like if Barca's playing, I'll be honest, there's not a chance I'm looking at the other screen unless it's an out ball.
No,
and you're playing Man United?
Well, because I've been doing this for a very long time, watching the game, watching 2 screens at a time is very easy for me.
You get used to it. It's like when we're doing our watch-alongs and we have to tell Clinton what screen it's on.
That's funny. That's very funny. No. All right. Well, we are going to be watching some matches later. DFB Pokal back in action this evening on Sporty TV. We have Cologne taking on Hertha Berlin, and we have Wolfsburg taking on Hoffenheim. Now, Alex, we watched both games, 4 games yesterday. I don't even know. There were several of those games, but we saw a lot of, Bundesliga 3 versus the Bundesliga. We have 2 matches right now coming up in about 15 minutes time that are both 2 Bundesliga 2 teams and 2 Bundesliga teams. And I think they're going to be a lot tighter, both matches. Cologne is 7th in the Bundesliga 2. Hertha Berlin is 9th. Meanwhile, Wolfsburg 8th in the Bundesliga and Hoffenheim 14th. Speaking of Hoffenheim, we do have Daniel Stope of Hoffenheim, who has sent us a little video ahead of this match. Let's check this one out.
A warm welcome from a crispy cold Wolfsburg, where tonight VfL Wolfsburg and TSG Hoffenheim are set to clash in the round of 16 of the German DFB Pokal. Hello to the studio, hello to everybody in Africa, hello to my friends Alex, Sara, all the people in the studio that I've had the pleasure to meet in the past already. Tonight, being here at the stadium, we're looking forward to this game of 2, maybe we can call them unsung heroes of German football. Wolfsburg, most recently they have stringed together 6 unbeaten games in a row, 3 wins. Hoffenheim, they have stunned with a win against Leipzig. They had a new manager. I have the pleasure to say we have a new manager. I'm the press officer for Hoffenheim now. So we look forward to this game, and I have a very close relationship to Wolfsburg's press officer, a good friend of mine, Torsten, a bit of a shy guy. He wants to stay out of the picture, but he's here with me, so we both look forward to this game, a bit of a rivalry between friends. I've had a first look at the lineups, and I think that both managers seem to take this match very serious, which is good so, because I think, like last season, when Leverkusen went home with a cup, I think the trophy's up for grabs. Bayern Munich went off the competition yesterday against Leverkusen. Dortmund is out already, eliminated by Wolfsburg. So a few big names have left the competition already. I read today that from the eternal rankings of the DFB Pokal, half of the top 10 have been eliminated this season already. So there is a spot left for either Wolfsburg or Hoffenheim. Who is it going to be? We're going to watch it. I think it's going to be an exciting match. My prediction, and you guys know at the studio, my predictions are always good. This one's going to overtime. Let's see who's going to be the winner, and I hope the winner is in blue, of course. Enjoy the game.
Oh, Daniel Stope with his predictions. Every time I see his face, I just think of Spain versus Germany. Oh, he's lovely, though. That was brilliant. Alex, we did see big teams being knocked out, like Freiburg yesterday. And now one of the Bundesliga teams will be knocked out because they have to play one another, Wolfsburg, Hoffenheim. Are you favoring one or the other right now?
I'm going to go with Hoffenheim.
Because of Daniel.
I have to. No, I think, you saw that win against Leipzig, 4-3. If they can recreate, speaking to Daniel about this, if they can recreate some of that energy and use some of that today, I think it could be very good. And, it's a cup game, anything can happen. So I'm going with Hoffenheim.
Gary, do you favor a Hoffenheim over a Wolfsburg in this one?
No.
No. You're going for
Hoffenheim's away
Wolfsburg?
record. Yeah, Hoffenheim's away record. It's not great. And they've lost, despite the arrival of Daniel said, they've had a new manager, but they're still losing. And so it seems like that the issues they had before the new manager came still persist and have not been so easily resolved. Daniel spoke about the fact that Wolfsburg have strung, how many? A 6-game unbeaten run. You don't get that by chance. And, and if they can replicate their last performances, then I think it would not be surprising if they beat Hoffenheim well. And so I think Daniel's take is a tad very hopeful, but on the basis of what we've seen in the last 10 games, a Hoffenheim win will be a surprise rather than an expectation. So Wolfsburg it is for me.
Wolfsburg, I'll back you on Wolfsburg too, just as we watch the games together. It'll make it more interesting and tense for us. But we have one more quick little video for you guys before we go. Take a look at this.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's up? It's your boy KlintonCod. Now, listen, on the SportyShow for Sporty TV, we've had a whole bunch of players come on the show. We've had Victor Boniface, we've had Okoye, we've had Kunde, we've had Herrera, we've had Conor Gallagher. We'll probably have Victor Osimhen coming soon, but only one thing would bring me to Italiano. It's Lee. I'm right here at the Atalanta Training Center. Only one player can bring me here. Guess who he is? Oh yes, you guessed right. But for now, stay glued to Sporty TV. Something is about to hit you. Until then, I'll catch y'all soon. Ebwe, tete, te, te.
Italiano! All right, guys, well, there you have it. Top secret stuff going on at Atalanta. Can you guess who? I'm sure you can, but it's been brilliant. Gary, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow with KlintonCod. Alex and I will be back at the halftime break to give you a quick little halftime breakdown of what's been going on with Wolfsburg and Hoffenheim and Cologne and Hertha. And then we'll preview the later games because we have RB Leipzig taking on Eintracht Frankfurt later on Sporty TV. So we'll see you guys soon. But until then, as always, enjoy the football.
Edward.